What's going on that end? Let's see. Is it my end? No, it's not my end. Let me see here. Y'all be patient with me. Something's going on. Let me see if he's on. Hey, there he is. I don't know what happened, man.
I don't know what happened there.
I don't either. Ain't no telling. So as we were saying, so you fought last week. How did you do?
I did pretty good. I came out with a split decision this time. Had fought a really really tough guy. He took the fight to me, and I had to change a lot of things in my game plan. But we got the job done. So
You know what's so funny? You don't see that many split decisions nowadays. You don't see them, and it's like I'm always thinking to myself whenever I see a split decision, it's like, what the hell are you looking at?
yep,
You know?
yep. I can see why they did. I can see why they ruled this one a split decision though. Like it was the guy I fought, man. The first round, he was coming forward. He was pressuring me.
Mm-hmm.
Landed a lot of good strikes, and then the second round, I started pressuring him. I almost had him out of there once in the second, and then twice in the third round. So it was a back and forth battle. I'm not discrediting that decision at all. So I understand why it was. For
Well,
sure.
hey, that's big of you to say that because every time, even like when they win, even like when fighters win, I hear them complain a lot about the split decision. It's like, what were you looking at then?
Yeah.
But that's good that it happened. I mean, I've seen some famous split decisions that have been could have been definitely career detrimental to people. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure.
so split. How many rounds was it?
It was 3 rounds. 3 rounds.
Three 3 minute rounds or 3 2 minute rounds?
Three 3 minute rounds. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So how long have you been competing in combat sports now?
Um, so I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 12, and I'm about to turn 21. Um,
Okay.
so roughly, roughly around 9 years, 9 to 10 years, I believe. I've been doing, yeah, roughly 9 to 10 years. I've been doing combat sports.
That's good. I mean, a lot of the guys, I see all these guys that, you know, they start at a young age and they sometimes may not get in there until they're in their like, get what it is that they're looking for until they're like their late 20s, sometimes early 30s. And good thing about mixed martial arts is that for some reason these guys have a lot more longevity than most other sports nowadays.
Yep.
I
Yep.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So going off of that, a lot of people, a lot of people don't realize mixed martial arts is really still relatively a new sport. It hasn't really been around like football and baseball has for a very long time. So
Yes.
a lot of these guys, like you said, who are in their late 20s, late 30s, who are just now getting into it, it's pretty impressive to see. It, in my opinion, it's pretty impressive to see how good you can get pretty quick. You know what I
It's
mean?
yes.
Yeah.
It's unusual because all right, you're right. It is relatively new. I mean, I know it was like 1993 was when the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC, was started in the 1993. And my thing about that is that you look at the fighters that were in there, other than like Hoist Gracie. Now he was pretty young when he started up there. He was probably maybe 26 or something like that, and Ken Shamrock, he was already in like his late 20s, early 30s whenever that happened. So the thing about it is that I guess it's not a bad thing to kind of maybe they started younger when they were fighting and stuff like that, but it's not a bad thing if like you don't make it to the main stage until you're at that certain age.
yeah. Definitely want to take your time with it because I've seen too many guys, especially on the regional scene,
Yeah.
with like I'm I haven't competed in mixed martial arts yet. I'm
Hmm.
working my way towards there, but I've trained with a lot of fighters where like they try to like go too quick at the same time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then and also they're not being smart with their journey on the come up. You know, they're taking fights back to back too quickly after getting like knocked out cold
Hmm.
um or getting like submitted like twice in a row and not taking the time to maybe reevaluate some things. Okay, where am I weak at in my game plan?
Yeah.
Where do I need to grow at? Okay, I did get knocked out. I probably do need to take a couple months off from sparring and fighting and give my brain a chance to heal up um,
Yes.
and just improve those holes in the game. Yeah. So,
Cowboy Donald Cerrone. I don't know if he's going to fight anymore, but I remember like the last years of his career, he said, "Man, I don't even spar no more."
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
He said he don't even spar no more. He doesn't want to take the damage, so to speak. So he goes in there with a plethora of experience, but then doesn't need to spar apparently. And that's just a kind of a new thing that I never thought about. I mean, I can't imagine not working with a partner or whatever to get better at the sport, but I suppose he's been doing it long enough. It's not necessary. Am I wrong?
Uh, that is a factor into it. Um, but
But
I've actually had the pleasure of training with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson,
yeah.
and he from what he kind of or what I saw at his gym, they don't spar a ton either, right? They maybe only like spar once or twice a week, but it's super light contact. Like it's not you don't so a lot of people realize you don't have to like get into gym wars per se to get the reaction time down, to get the feeling down to what it's going to be actually like in translation to going in the cage and fighting. Um,
Yes.
because is you only got one brain, right? You only got one brain. It's best that
Yes.
you're gonna risk it where it actually counts. Don't do that when you're trying to actually get ready for those big moments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you can do besides sparring too, like situational um, drilling, right? Like maybe going like, okay, you communicate with your partner, hey, let's go maybe 60% live, right? Just give me like those looks, those feels for what I'm gonna actually see in the cage. That
Hmm.
way, one, nobody's getting hurt, nobody's risking any injury, um, and stuff like that. So there is ways around. I do understand what you talk about, like what Donald, what Cerrone, what Cowboy was talking about when he's like, I don't even
Yeah.
spar anymore, because like probably took him a while to learn that because he's one of the pioneers, right?
Hmm.
Um, figuring that stuff out. But
Yeah.
him, guys like Max Holloway too. Max Holloway doesn't really spar anymore either, from what
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so there's ways around. There's ways to get the training you need to prepare for a fight without actually like going intense sparring. So yeah,
I guarantee you that there's probably fighters out there that right now that shake like a coconut on a tree that fought in the 80s and 90s, and Cerrone was around this new generation. You had the 90s and early 2000s UFC fighters, but then you kind of had this mid to early 2000s where guys were getting a little bit, there was a new generation in. And then by the time they got in their like 30s and stuff like that, they started doing smarter things. And I think that a lot of the younger fighters, kind of like yourself, are starting to pick up on these things that, you definitely can't be the way you were in the 90s. And in the early 2000s is probably not advisable either. So, I mean, there was this big thing about there was always this big thing of it's not as dangerous to be knocked out in MMA as it is in boxing, because in boxing when you get knocked down or knocked out, you got 10 seconds to get back up and then you take more brain damage, which according to now, it's like a lot of these guys that have done MMA who have been knocked out, they're having just as much problems these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's always like when somebody's like, oh, like a traditional old school combat sports fan, they're like, oh, boxing's safer because there's no kicks or elbows or anything like. I'm like, well, one, you're fighting with bigger gloves, right? So it's like getting hit with a brick
Right.
with those heavier gloves, and then also that you're exactly right. Those standing 8 counts or the 10 count, where you're already concussed, but you get back up and you have to get back into the fight, right? Uh,
Yes.
Whereas in mixed martial arts, where you get knocked out, you might take 1 or 2 ground and pound strikes, but then
Uh-huh.
the referee saves you, and it's over. So yeah, it's just a matter of opinion, I feel like, but yeah, sci- there's been scientific proof that mixed martial arts is a safer combat sport in general than boxing and even kickboxing too. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
No,
I would agree with that.
yeah, I don't, and that's above my paycheck. That's somebody I need to interview. I wish I could interview like ring doctors and
Mhm.
stuff like that too. I love interviewing you guys, but I would love to interview like sports psychologists and ring doctors because that's a very interesting thing. We do have to be smarter nowadays. We really do. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm young enough to embrace that, but a lot of these older guys, and I'm not even talking about guys in their 60s. I'm talking about guys like in their 70s. They're kind of, putting putting this stigma on younger guys as being kind of mentally, weak at this stuff. And I'm like, no, dude, it's not being mentally weak. You're mentally preventing things.
Mhm. Yeah, and especially at the amateur level, right? Because
Right.
this is our time to learn. This is our time to get experience,
Yeah.
um, to grow in all the different disciplines. Because like I said earlier, if we make one mistake,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take a piece of us that we're never going to get back. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, like I said, I've seen too many guys where like I'm talking to him, like I talked to him when I was like 13 years old, and then I talk to him now,
Mm-hmm.
and I even noticed a difference, right? Because they didn't do it smartly, right? And yeah, so it's just a matter, like, you just got to realize how your body works, what you know is right, in terms of training wise, and just minimize the damage. Minimize the damage. There's other alternatives to getting the cardio you need, to getting the reaction time you need, to learning the techniques you need without actually like beating your brain up. So yeah,
Right. And you're 20 years old, right?
yeah,
And you're realizing this, like, I don't sense a lot of, non-growth in you coming up. I think you'll have a very good growth when it comes to your career and stuff like that in this sport. But that's very wise because, you know, yeah, we may be overthinkers, the younger generation here. We might be overthinkers, but at the same time, I mean, once again, I don't feel like I want my head and my body to be shaking when I'm in my 50s when I have quality of life that is still ahead of me.
mhm, yep.
I'm telling you, uh, so how do you are you in college? Do you have a job?
No, so I'm actually a real estate investor as well. I own rental property. Um,
Yeah.
and that gives me some passive income as well. And I do work for my dad as well. He owns a real estate management company, and I work for the on like the maintenance crews and stuff like that. It goes around, and when a tenant calls in and they're like, hey, or this needs to be fixed in the rent house and stuff like that, we go take care of it and fix it.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
and then also my brother owns a jiu-jitsu school out in St. Francisville, Louisiana. So I help him kind of run the kickboxing classes there as well. Um, and then yeah, so I'm constantly training, constantly working, constantly doing that stuff, all the fun adult things. So yeah.
Well, at least you've got a backup plan. So my, you know, I've that's another thing about you new generation of fighters coming up. You're starting to realize that, man, I need a job. Okay, I can't just be, doing this full time.
Mhm.
And There was a fighter. I won't mention his name because I haven't asked his permission, but he's a million subscriber. But I did I went to a press conference. I was working the fights and stuff like that, and a younger fighter asked him in the press conference, "Man, what's the best advice you can give?" Because he used to be he was on Bellator, and he says, "Man, get a job, because you just don't know what the future is going to hold for this if you do this full time and don't have some sort of invested time into another job or a skill, so to speak."
Yeah, absolutely. Can't fight forever, and then there's no guarantee that you'll be able to fight for long. You know what I mean? It's a risky business, and you're making no money on the come up. Like I'm an amateur. I'm making no money.
Right.
I'm doing this pure for the love of it. And,
I know it. That's what cracks me about. Imagine if you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking to myself, man, like, what do you think about them power slap fighters, man, that are coming up through the ranks of this, man? That's the most brain damaging sport I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of power slap. I just think it's pointless. There's no technique into it. There's no bettering yourself, as a martial artist or as an athlete. It's like, I mean, you see the guys who are competing. It's just
right.
It's not a good sport.
It's my country. It's my old school country music. It's the one that I roll the window up, turn the volume down, and listen to, and I love it. Mm-hmm. But man, I can't imagine. One thing about it is that maybe on the slapping side there's technique, but how do you technically defend yourself? I don't even think technically is a word, but you're just standing there. You can prevent it by making your neck, look like Brock Lesnar's, but you can't. You have to just sit there and hope that your neck is strong enough that it doesn't turn your chin into the back of your brain and knock you out.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. There's no defense in that sport. There's not that, like, it's literally, you're just getting paid to let somebody smack you in the face. And I'm like, you haven't, you got to let them, right? It's within the rule set. You can't defend yourself. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just, I don't know why I'm promoting that.
I'm interviewing my first power slap competitor next week, and
really? Who is it?
Darren Godfrey.
Okay.
Darren Godfrey. I actually met one at I did an event about a month ago near me, and I met a female power slapper, and this girl, she's very good looking, but she's got this like face that says I can kill you type thing. Like, she's like real like big cheekbones and just, everything like that. And, good looking girl, but man, I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you succumbing yourself to power slap? But I don't know why, but I fell in love with it. I mean, I watched the one last night or Friday night. They got one down in New Orleans, coming up here in a month. I'm seriously considering, work. I wish I could work press. I need to figure out how to work the press for it, but
yeah,
I would love to go down there just to watch it. I don't know what it is, man. I mean, do we just do maybe I'm just too manly in that aspect to love stupid shit.
Yeah. I mean, every man's got a little bit of crazy in him, and whether it's like loving watching stupid stuff like that or actually doing it, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll admit, it's entertaining. It is an entertaining sport, but it is the stupidest thing in the world. It is so dumb. It's I don't know. I don't know why.
I know it. My dad told my stepmom what me and her were watching, or excuse me, what him and I were watching the other night. And she goes, "That's just stupid." I'm like, I've got a jersey on the way, and I've been doing this for I've been doing radio and broadcasting sports, and particularly combat sports, for 2 decades, and I respect the aspect of, that's why I love interviewing you guys. I respect what you do. I respect everybody before you and those that come up do.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this stupid sport is really just got a hold on me. I mean, I got a jersey on the way, for crying out loud, with Power Slap on it.
That's awesome.
And I hope that nobody gets offended that sees this. I mean, and Darren, if you're watching this, man, I'm still want to interview you but it's just hilarious. And I know we've got.
Yeah, you can't control what people. You can't let people control what you say, man. You got your own opinion. So
I've been with. That's the one thing about Millions. I haven't gotten a phone call yet that says, "Hey, man, you can't say this." Okay, I haven't. And matter of fact, in our guidelines and stuff like that, they says funny and controversial things is encouraged in our guidelines when we say that. And I'm just like, I don't know any controversy. I don't want to out of the blue, say something controversial, because if it's unwarranted. But if it comes up and I say it, fuck it,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, makes you unique. Makes you unique, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so are you obviously you are working, but are you trying to make pro? Are you trying to do this for maybe potentially do this for a living?
Absolutely, yeah. My goal is to try to make a career out of this. I'm trying to do it smartly, right?
Yes.
Because you can't throw all your eggs in one basket.
No.
Right. There is a chance that I possibly will not make it. Right. There's only one of the 1% guys that make it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to take the chance on myself to try to make it and become a world champion one day. But yes, my goal is to be a professional. My goal is to try to make it to a big organization, and to beat the champion one day. If that works out. So yeah, I want to be the best. So
man, I hope that I want that, and I will pray for you for that, man. Because
I'm going to.
I'll tell you, because I am so happy to hear that. And you hear a lot of guys say it, and I think that you have the potential to do it. I mean, I watched a few of your stuff. Like you booked me a week ago to do this, and I watched a little bit of some of your fights, and I think you got the potential. And I look forward to following your career, and I hope to be that guy that sees you in person one day, being like, "Hey, man, I know him. I talked to him once when he was 20." I was like,
I know you. I remember you were first.
You're a lot fatter in person, Hank.
Don't say that about yourself, man.
it's like I'm trying to get Ozempic here. No, no, I love it, and that's one of the reasons why I love combat sports, is because there is. I'm not saying there's not struggle on the level of like a football player or basketball player, but man, it's your team and you don't have some sort of minor league thing where you're gonna, or a college football thing, and people could still see you on TV while you're doing the come up. This is all you guys.
Yep. You're exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up, because I talked to a lot of traditional sports athletes, like football players and baseball players.
Yeah.
And like, man, it's so hard to get a scholarship, so hard to get this. I'm like, man, shut up. You have no idea how good you guys got it. You have no idea.
No.
You have a pathway to get
right.
there. Go to college, get drafted. If you don't get drafted, go to the minor leagues or something of the equivalent.
Yeah.
And try to get noticed. Right?
Yes.
And you're still getting paid to do that.
Yes.
We got none of that.
No.
We got none.
Well, Millions is a sports platform, and we have basketball players and football players that come on here, man, and I'm not gonna gosh, and Dan and Whitaker, if Mr. Whitaker, if you watch this, I'm sorry, man, but like I don't understand. I don't know what the point of interviewing those guys are, for sponsorships. I don't get it with football and basketball and and other like organized team sports. Like, what are you doing, man? If you didn't make it, you're probably not going to make it individually for sponsorships, and I don't get it. Like this, at least for combat fighters, there is potential to get sponsorships. I do this because I love the sport of combat fighting, but I also do it because I want to create value in you guys so that you guys can obtain things, even if I'm step 1 of 2,000 steps. I'm helping out.
Yeah, yeah. And I promise you, a lot of guys, like us fighters, appreciate it. Us fighters
Yeah.
appreciate it because, like, think about it, because we have to, one, we have to start training, right, and then we have to grow the social media. We have to we have to go and find those people. Like, we have to go find our coaches. They're not just there and we just show up and they do everything for us. We got to find the jiu-jitsu coach. We got to find the wrestling coach. You got to find the striking coach. Got to find strength conditioning. Got to find the nutritionist.
Right.
And figure out how to pay for it. All on top of that.
Yes.
Whereas a college athlete, that's already paid for by the university and his scholarship. You know? So
yes.
I'm not trying to like say they got it easy or anything like that, but
right.
they kind of do.
Yeah. No, I get it. I don't feel bad for them. You know, I mean, like I was saying before, and I'm kind of repeating myself, but you know, I like a basketball player, like a good example. I mean, obviously he's been around for 20 years, but we'll just use LeBron James as an example. That man has been followed by the public since he was in his early teens, maybe even like middle school.
Yeah.
Yes, he had to work to get what he's at, but he's had emotional support from the public for so long that it was pretty much guaranteed he was going to be a millionaire when he was 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he had this issue, I mean, Chris Webber, a player that played 30 years ago in the NBA, I mean, people knew who he was when he was 13 years old, they knew who he was when he was 13 years old. You guys don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't have that opportunity.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'll say this, and I hope this gets on shorts here, but the reason why I love doing this is because I could interview somebody like Chuck Liddell. Not if I wanted to, but I would love to be like, millions. Only send me the pros and the legends. No, I would rather build an empire than join one. And like if they gave me all those interviews at once, that would be great. That would be fantastic. It would help my career out. I could do this for a living. But I would rather build you guys up and then help build the empire and be like, I knew Nate Baker when he first started. And even though I was only one step out of 2,000, I was the one that helped build his empire.
Yeah. We, like I said, dude, fighters appreciate you guys like you, for sure. Especially starting out. So I really appreciate you, dude.
Of course, man. This is what I do, man. And the prayer is that I do something like this for a living, and hopefully, because we just, I do okay with it, but we have to do a living. So
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And this has really it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I will say this, like I said, I'm looking forward to your career. I'm looking forward to watching your career, and I want you to keep in touch with me,
Absolutely. Sure.
Absolutely. And man, we're friends on Instagram now.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say before you go? The floor is yours. Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just thank you personally for taking the time to talk to me and help get my name out there. And Lord willing, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna be the best. And I'm willing. I have a heart and a mind to learn, and I hope you guys come along for the ride, and let's see what we can make of it. Let's go.
Yes, indeedy. Feed the needy. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been nothing but a pleasure talking to this guy, man. He has been Nathaniel Baker. My name is Hank Russell. Thank you for joining me for the Hank Russell invitation. Y'all have a pleasant evening.